everyone, and welcome. It's another Tuesday. That must mean it's time for office hours. My name is Jeff Blankenburg, and with me, I have Scott Steerlich here with me today. So thank you for being here, Scott.
No problem. Hopefully you can hear me now.
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
It is all working as expected because that's what computers do. We haven't been scrambling over the last 10 minutes to make sure this is all working. It just works.
No, my computer definitely did not just shut completely off when I plugged in headphones.
No, they don't do that. They do what
they function perfectly every day, all the time.
Yeah, completely agree. So, we are here. We're here to answer some questions for all of you. I do have an echo coming through. I've got to figure out how to do this. Volume up, volume down. I don't know what the right answer is. Scott, what did you have for breakfast today? Anything good?
This morning I got up and I have been taking my dog Murphy for a walk every day for the last 2 weeks in the mornings. So this morning I had a banana and coffee, and I'm still drinking the coffee, which is right here. And
coffee and banana.
Yeah. So my mornings are weird now. I'm trying to do this whole routine since I'm working from home all the time now. So I have to get up and go and do this routine now, and it's up to me to do it, which I don't know who planned that, but so yeah, it's morning. The coffee hasn't kicked in, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Well, we've got a couple people here today, which is fantastic. A bunch of people here on Twitch, and I'm glad you guys are here. Tradeless says he's also having a banana and coffee for breakfast.
Yeah, it's the breakfast of champions.
It is. I had the finest granola bar and Red Bull that you'll ever taste. So that's how I started my day. Yeah, Scott, they are giving me feedback that they can't hear you very well.
Can you not hear me?
I mean, we can hear you, but it's just much softer than I am. That's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. I don't know how to do that.
What if I hold the microphone right here?
Oh my gosh, that is night and day.
Is that better? Yeah.
Night and day.
Okay.
I don't know how we make that happen all the time, but that's
it. There we go. I'll just hold it like an old game show host, just like this. I'll just do the news.
I'll get you out to interviewing people, and
I'll just interview my cat.
Awesome. Okay, well, good.
Asleep.
We've solved the microphone issue, at least temporarily. All right, so for everybody else that's here, we have a ton of people here in the chat. I love to welcome people. I mentioned Trade Last already. Habuma1 is here, Mr. Survival Expert. Alex, our good friend that does tons of cool stuff with APL in Germany. A Witters, Pete Haas, Little Defeat is here. Emily's Denny, Fabio is here. Oxygen Box. Joe Paulo Alcaraz is here. He says he's created a sharp shot game in Alexa using the web API for games. That's pretty cool. You're on LinkedIn. Let me go see if I can find your comment. Where are the comments? You're on this page, right? On the LinkedIn. There.
Oh, are you talking about us or you?
Me. But I mean, here's what I'm going to do. If anybody wants to share their awesome work, I'm going to make sure people see it. So I'm going to do share screen. I'm going to choose this. This is what he's talking about. He just built this. This is all APL. Now I don't know how to use it. Shoot. I don't know what I need to do to. Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow. You guys, this was like video games when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
Like this was the Mass Effect of my day.
So I got 2 ships in that time. That's pretty cool. Well, Joe Paulo, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to refresh so we can get some more ships. Boom. Boom. Oh man.
Pow. I better not show up in like a. I'm watching you.
That's awesome. See if we can get some crossers. Boom. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is cool. I love the graphics. The little 8-bit. That's super cool. This is great. Yeah, I did not enable my microphone, which maybe I should have done, but that's still pretty cool. Just say pow. Okay, now I'm going to have to enable the microphone. Always allow. Let's try that again.
I mean, this is what we are going to do all day. Seriously.
Pow.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
this will happen.
Here we go. Big ship. Pow. Oh, that one didn't work. Do I have to have my focus on the thing, maybe? Pow. Nope. Yeah, it looks like there's a little bit of lag, maybe. This is still super cool, though. Thank you for sharing this. Stop sharing my screen. All right. So, one shot per turn, got it. How can I get rid of the lag? It works terrible once ported to Alexa. Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I feel like our friend Alex might have some thoughts on that. So, Alex, do you have any thoughts on how he can improve the lag? It seems like he's got a lot of delay between when you say pow and when the thing actually happens. It's a good question. Well, I think another challenge you have with Alexa is that it's not listening live all the time. Like, you kind of have to say the name and then get that thing to happen. So that could also be a little tricky. Still very, very cool, though.
Further up the chat here, Mr. Survival Expert asked, it's been a while since I developed an Alexa skill, but now my task is to implement a contact support functionality to a skill. What are the best options to do this? Something like a customer command, call me back, or contact me via email, or any other direct way?
Yeah, that's good. So the way that I would do this, the way that I would think about doing this would be to use some of the APIs that allow you to have the contact information for the user. So by default, you can grab things like their email address or their phone number or their mobile number, right, if you want to text them. And so it would be kind of cool to have something simple. Again, I like to think very specifically about what I would want the customer, if I was the customer, what I would want the customer experience to be like. And so let's pretend the name of your company is Sterling Incorporated, right? We'll go with that. And so you would say something like, I'm not going to say the name, so I don't want to set all your devices off, but ask Sterling for support or customer support, something like that. And the skill opens and says, okay, I've just sent you an email. We'll do it. Like that's the whole process, right? Because you're not going to talk to somebody directly through the device, but what you want is for a contact request to come through, and then maybe there's a second follow-up question, which is something like, do you want to be contacted by text? Thank you for sharing this. Whoa. Stop. Text or email or whatever. So that's my that is my thought on how I would do that. Is I would like it to be super simple and just opens that contact request and reaches out, and then I have an easy email or text or whatever interface to do that. And you can use the I think it's called the personalization API. I can't remember. The personalization API will give you, no, that's actually more than we need. That's like their geo coordinates or device address. There's also the contact. Trying to make sure I use the right term here. Yeah, we're talking about the customer contact information. And so these are just permissions that are built into your skill. So the user has to grant you those permissions, and you can get full name, you can get just their first name, you can get their email address, and you can get their phone number. But those permissions are required, and you use an API access token. So here, I'll take this right here, and I'll drop it in the chat. You guys can check that out, but that's the customer contact info. So that's kind of the direction I would go if I'm thinking about something like that. Yes, a direct call would also be possible, Mr. Survival Alexa, but keep in mind, you can't call them through an Alexa device. So you can get their phone number, and then you could use a service like Twilio or any other kind of telephony service to connect a call between your call center representative and user. Yes, you could very easily do that. But it wouldn't be through Alexa at that point. They would say to the device, start a contact thing, and you're like, do you want me to contact you by phone? And they say yes. and then their phone could ring. Like, you could definitely make that experience happen. But that assumes that they give you that permission, which they would only have to do once, but they would have to do it at least once.
Yeah, plus the customer service experience is something that you're going to want to think about as well. There's a lot of things that, like, the general consumer is very, very discerning when it comes to customer service, especially when it comes to good or bad customer service as they would see it. So making it like one shot, two shot, like would you like support? Yes, great. Here you go. Here's the support. You've got to be that quick. It can't be a bunch of hoops, otherwise people would just be furious. I've done this my whole life.
Right? You call your insurance company, bank, or whatever. It's press 9 for this set of options, and then you get into that option. It's like, don't create a phone tree. Don't
do that.
What I would definitely recommend is have them just connect with a person as often as you can. Obviously, there's cost to that, and infrastructure and a number of other problems that those present. But as much as you can prevent them from having to navigate a bunch of stuff, use as much context as you have, right? If let's say you're a printer manufacturer and you want to provide support through an Alexa skill, maybe previously you already know what printers they have, or they register those in some way and say, oh, I have Model 7 and Model 23. So at least you have some context around, like, oh, they're definitely calling us about one of those two products. Maybe you could even clarify and say, oh, is this for your Model 7 or for your Model 23 or whatever? Like, that's okay. But I think when you're just forcing them to navigate a huge tree of choices, that's too much. Good point, Scott.
There's another question that I thought was a really good one here. Fabio William Oliveira says, my first question for today is about owner of the skill. When I develop a new skill, it stays on my account. How can I transfer the owner to another person who paid for that? It's a really great question. You can't.
This could be something
Alexa's core functionality doesn't function like that. When you build a skill on one account, it stays on that account. So what we always do, whenever I have people writing in with this exact question, this is a great question, by the way, because I get it a lot. There are people who design and build skills for other people as a business. So what I would recommend that you do is create your client's account for them. So you're going to build a developer account for them. You're going to build the skill, make yourself an admin, and then work with them to see if they want to watch you do it, whatever. But make yourself the admin, build the skill, and then add whoever their IT person is or whoever the potential skill owner is going to be, whatever. Add them to the account as the administrator. Have them take you off, or not. You can be on there just as an analyst if you want to, like, just for like maintenance, or if you want to continue the service as a monthly upkeep or maintenance or something like that. Take you off, and then that's their account. Basically, you're just going to build one for them, give it to them, and then say bye. That's how you do it. There is no way to transfer or migrate a skill. There is no way to make one skill come off of this account and show up on another account without just basically copying and pasting all of the code over to a new one and then putting it in the new one. And then you have to relaunch the skill because it has to go back through certification. So the better experience for everybody involved is to just build a new account, make the skill on that account, and then give them that whole thing.
Right. And so the piece that you mentioned is that you still get to work from your account.
Yes.
And that you just make you an admin. So I was going to show really quickly, I'm sharing my screen, show people how you do that. So I want you to imagine for a moment that you have created a new account for your customer, for your client. And you want to add yourself as someone that has the ability to modify and change that skill without actually adding it to your account. So you would go into the new account that you created for your client, and you would go to settings right here. So we're at developer.amazon.com/dashboard. You would go to settings. In here, you can set user permissions. And in this user permissions, you can come in and you can add a new user. In this case, you would add yourself. So you might say my account at myaccount.com, or whatever your developer account email address is. And then you can mark yourself as a developer or administrator or whatever. And then you would save this. Now, once you've done this, you will have access to that skill in your developer console. You'll see it the exact same way, and you can change and manipulate it as much as you like. The catch is when the client is done with you or doesn't want you to have access anymore, they can come in and they can remove you. You see I have a remove button right here. And once they've removed you, you no longer have access to that skill. This is the right way to do it because then they own their thing. But as Scott said, like transferring it, not possible or not easy, Scott?
I mean, technically it's possible. You can take all of the code and transfer it all over, but it's definitely not easy. It's not a good experience for really anybody because, to be honest, like you may not get the same engagement. If you launched a skill and it really flew off the handle, I mean, like it really took off, and then you had to move it and then relaunch it, you'll probably get more, but you'll probably get more users, but you'll still lose the original ones, and they will have to re-enable the skill under a new account because, again, it's a whole different skill. It's a whole new custom skill. So it's just better to have it be in one place and be the right place first. You know,
yeah, that makes sense. I guess the question I was asking is, behind the scenes, as some sort of support service ticket, there isn't a way to just take an existing skill and move it to a new owner without changing it as a new skill.
No, it doesn't exist. The code doesn't exist. It can't be done. Like it flat out. It's one of the. I hate saying that. I hate being like nope, but it's accurate. So it can't be done.
Okay.
Just like
the other option, of course, would be to build it on your own account, but never publish it. Build it, get it exactly the way you want it to be working, and then when you're ready, you could hand your JSON document, you could hand your code, all of that stuff over to your customer and have them publish a new version of that out to the public.
Yeah, you could do that.
But it's not, especially for those of you that have already started, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you haven't published it, you should be fine.
Yeah, that's good call.
But once you publish it, you're kind of you're stuck.
Yeah, you basically have to give them your account. Which we can do, which I actually just did. You know, somebody said asked the same question, and then I said, well, you can't, and I gave them the same response, and they had no problem with just completely changing the entire account over to this new person, giving them the ownership of it, and then walking away from it and building their own account again, building their own personal account again, which we can do. You know, we can change the account. You know, we can change the name on the account and the ownership of the account. Can't change the skill.
Interesting. Okay, we have a question from Enabled on YouTube, which is, I'm looking into using ISPs on my skills. Does Amazon take 30% for everything through voice, or only take 30% if it's voice content? If I used voice to order a physical product with a dollar transaction, would 30% be taken from there too? So Enabled, this is a good question because there's a differentiation in how we think about selling things inside Alexa Skills, whether you're selling a physical good and service, or whether you're selling digital goods and services. And so for digital stuff, that might be subscriptions or weapons or coins or hints or stuff like that, things that are digital inside your application. Yes, that is a pretty standard practice across the industry, which is 70-30 split, where you keep 70% and Amazon keeps 30% to keep the lights on and all that. However, if you are doing physical goods and services, you actually don't use in-skill purchasing at all. What you do instead is use, you can set up your skill to use Amazon Pay. Amazon Pay is much more like a traditional credit card transaction that you can use with voice. And in those scenarios, I think Alexa only takes, I think it's like 3%, right? It's the credit card transaction fees plus a very, very small incremental amount. I don't remember if it's like a dime or 15 cents or something like that per transaction. So no, for physical goods and services, you should be well on your way. It's only for digital goods and services that it's 30%. But those are also items that don't have any physical cost, right? It would be much harder to sell a physical product that you only have a 30 or 40% margin on. It would be hard to give all of those margins away to sell something. That's why you use Amazon Pay, something like that. But for digital goods and services, which also often run much lower in cost, that is what you see pretty much across the board for the most part, is a 70-30 split. Okay. So Trey last asked a question earlier. As a customer, I'd like the skill to have a support person call me and could also have the back end work with a scheduler to say, we'll call you in 5 minutes. Is that okay? Yeah, there's actually a couple of ways you could handle this. One is just to ask that question and kind of be done. The other would be to think about using something like skill resumption, which is a feature that we announced at Alexa Live last year. And this would be similar to the example I generally use, which is I want to get a ride from Uber. And so it says, okay, let me find you a driver and I'll let you know when I'm ready. And it might take 5 minutes to find the driver for you. And the skill actually goes and hibernates, goes into the background. And when your service says, "Oh, I've got a driver," you can fire us a response back into the skill, which will wake it up and say, "Oh, I found a driver for you. It'll be there in 3 minutes." The same idea happens for this scheduler, for this support person. You could say, "Okay, we'll have someone call you within 10 minutes based on your queue logs," or whatever it is. And then you could pop back up and say, "Hey, are you still ready? We can call you right now." And if the user says yes, then you trigger that call. And if not, then maybe you ignore it or kick it off the queue or something like that. Kind of an interesting scenario, though. I like these scenario-based, these support-based scenarios. Everybody's so Alex says my tone is weird today. Is my tone weird for anyone else? I feel like my sound sounds okay, but we'll see as we get through these comments here.
All I can think of is like, does he sound aggressive or like
yeah, I don't know.
Or like is
a native German?
Like ever, like,
so it could also
tone.
Translation. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, just making a dumb joke, as I do often.
You're very soft for me, so sometimes I don't.
Well, I moved my microphone in an attempt to try to lower the echo on your end, just in case. But I'll hold it like a newsman.
I think. Hey, I have a skill that I developed a website for. Is it okay to use an ISP to give users access to that website? I need some kind of monetization to pay for the hosting of the website. No, I don't think so. I think that there has to be some intrinsic value in the subscription that you're offering for a skill. I suppose you could just do like, hey, we have a subscription to help support us. But I don't know that that's allowed, because that feels a lot like a donation. And I feel like there are very specific rules about this. I'm going to look this up here. I need to unplug all of my devices and completely start over with this studio. Nothing's working. Okay. Can earn revenue. Certification rules. This is probably what I want. None of this is what I want. I know you guys can't see my screen, but I feel like okay, let's see. I'm going to look in one more place here to see if I can find a better answer to this. It's not giving me a lot of rules. I want the rules.
There's some cool documentation on the Uber thing.
So, like, one of the things here is offers access to premium content or features for a period of time, charged on a recurring basis. So I guess my question for you, Kahitar, would be, if you're giving them access to your website, I'm assuming your website is accessible anyways. I mean, they would have to be able to get to your website. So are you saying that they can't get to the website, or they can't get to the content on the website without having the subscription active? That one's tricky. I think there's better ways to approach that. I'm not finding. I mean, there's an FAQ here. Tactics. Oh, none of that is actually helping me at all. Okay. So I don't know that I have a really good answer for you on this, but this feels like something that's a little sideways. What I would generally expect, if you start thinking about managing a user's account, you would have a website, the user has an account there. On your website, you could offer a subscription. And the subscription ideally gives them access to some new content, something. And so you could then have them, in the Alexa skill, link their account, right, through account linking. And then you would know whether or not they're a subscriber and give them access to that same kind of content with voice. what you're describing to me, though, is I want them to be able to subscribe to my skill as a way to basically give money to the developer to help support the cost of the website. Qatar, let's try this another way. I'm going to try a new approach for you. I don't know where you're hosting your website, but if you're not hosting it on AWS, you might want to consider that for this reason. We offer something called Alexa Developer AWS Credits. And those AWS credits would allow you to basically have about $100 a month to spend on AWS services. And the only way to be eligible is to publish an Alexa skill. So by publishing an Alexa skill, you would then qualify to be able to get this $100 a month, which you could use for the hosting for your website. Then you don't even necessarily need to offer a subscription, and you would be able to let your customers do what they need to do, whether that's the website or the skill, without incurring any costs at all. So that might be something else to look into if I'm helping you solve your problem accurately. That's one of the tricky things that I have to do with a lot of these questions is you're asking me one question, which is, can I use a subscription to do this? But what you really mean is, how can I eliminate my costs of hosting? And I think that's really the question I should be answering. Thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, actually, no, you nailed it. It's tricky because you have to figure out, because these are all very case by case.
Right.
Like, like there's each individual business and each individual skill is going to be so different. But yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. We have, let's see, just flipped. Comment I was about to read go. Nassim Zenity said, hello from France. When I make an out-of-domain intent call, it calls the fallback intent handler. Is there a way to redirect the request to normal Alexa in such situations? So what you're describing is they're in my skill that's all about, I don't know, Star Wars or something. And then they say, hey, what's the weather? I think your request, I think this is what you're asking, is I want it to just go to the native weather handler for Alexa rather than living inside my skill. Scott, are you aware of a way to do that? I'm not aware.
That's one of those weird ones where, like, I bet she would. I bet she would respond. It's a 1P function, so it's like a first person. It's a main platform function. So I don't know, to be honest. We have to test that. Like we're all kind of learning. Yeah, but I bet she would.
Open unofficial Star Wars databank.
Handing on
moves around.
Database. Unofficial by Jeff Blankenburg.
Hello there. I can answer your questions about people and places in the Star Wars and even vehicles, weapons, toys,
What's the weather in Columbus, Ohio today?
I didn't find a match for what's the weather in Columbus, Ohio today, but you can ask about a character, or a species, or a vehicle, for example. Is there something else you would like to know?
Stop.
It's a trap.
Okay, so there's a reason that didn't work, and that's because I'm using the workaround using the search query intent, specifically so that skill will catch all the weird things you might say and funnel them to the right place, or say things like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not aware of a way where we can allow, like, there isn't a specific mechanism. I was hoping Alexa would just do it natively, but that didn't happen. This is a good, Nassim, I'm gonna go over to Twitch. I'm gonna steal your question. Where is your question? Let's take that and add that to my notes. I'm gonna look into that one. We'll see what we can come up with. Because I'm sure there is I'm not sure there's a way. I feel like I've heard of something, but on the top of my mind, I'm not able to think of what the answer might be for that. Emily's Denny says, a problem that I've been running into is displaying information to the user. Currently, my solution is to display a card to the user, but I'm trying to have it work with my APL as well. Is there a way to dynamically update the APL text or to have cards to work with APL? Like have APL turn off and something like that when I want the card to show? No, in fact, the way it will work is if you send APL, it will show APL. If you send a card, it will show the card. But I don't. There are ways to dynamically update APL, and Alex might have some thoughts on that. It looks like he did. But no, I don't think there's any way to mix cards and APL. My recommendation, honestly, would be detect the type of device the user has, send a card when they're not using an APL device, and whether or not APL is supported. And if it is, then if it isn't supported, then send a card. But I would recommend using APL templates for all of that stuff. It's Radio Voice says, can clients also test your skill in development by adding their Amazon account email address to this user portal? Oh, so earlier when I showed how to add another user to your developer account, yes, you could have that as a way where you could let someone else test your skill. I don't recommend that at all, though, because you're also giving them the ability to completely manipulate, change, or delete your skill. And that's super dangerous. So what I would recommend instead is use the beta testing skill, which would allow you to give up to 5,000 people at a time 90 days of access to your skill where they can test it, use it, play with it. Beta testing tool is the right way to go about that. While you can do it the other way, you're taking on a great deal of risk for not a lot of reward, I guess. That would be my recommendation. Is there a way to run test scripts for Alexa-hosted skills? If not, what alternatives do you recommend?
Skills is a form of the word skill. As a noun,
Alexa,
skill can have a...
stop.
You guys have no idea how often that happens.
So many times. So many times. Is there a way to run test scripts for Alexa-hosted skills? If not, what alternatives do you recommend? So, little defeat, there is a way to run test scripts, and the way that you can do that is by using the Alexa CLI. If you are working locally on your Alexa... I have another device on. One moment.
Well, at least he doesn't have a hammer in his hand. You know, this time.
Okay, sorry about that. So, yes, if you are working locally using something like the ASK CLI or VS Code or whatever, I mean, if you're working locally, you're certainly using the CLI. At that point, then you have the ability to run all of the test codes you would like to run locally on your machine and make sure that it's all working. And then when you're ready, you just deploy that code to your production environment, the Alexa hosted environment. So little defeat, that is my recommendation for you. Would be if you're not working locally, give that a shot. If you're working only in the browser, no, I'm not aware of a way where you could do that effectively. Mr. Survival Expert mentioned the beta testing. That's the right way to go. TradeLast mentions that you can update the APL text with a set value directive, which would allow you to update the text as you go. There's lots of examples on APL Ninja, Alex mentions, that can show you how to display information. And if you want to reach out to Alex on the Alexa Slack, that's another great place to have these kinds of conversations with any of the people that are here chatting. If you guys aren't in the Slack, by the way, that's a really good segue. You can go to alexa.design/Slack, and you can find a whole community of people that are all building and thinking about cool things they can do with voice. And it's a fantastic support channel. Lots of people to talk to, lots of people that have already gone through what you may have gone through. Just absolutely wonderful. So I can't recommend it enough. Head over there. If you don't get your questions answered here on office hours, go there first. Most of the time, before I get a chance to answer a question, there's 10 people that have chimed in. So it's really, really useful. Okay. All right. So 90 days is plenty for the beta test. That's great. Let's see. Fabio wants you to sing, Scott. I'm not going to make you sing, but that's the second time I've seen someone ask for your singing. Imatraji says, please repeat the name and concept of the example you mentioned about Uber or support. It's called skill resumption. Just think of the word skill resume. Skill resumption is the ability to kind of background your skill. I believe it's still in developer preview, though, so you'll have to sign up for access. and it's not granted to everybody. They're still in developer preview, so they're limiting the number of developers that can use it. But that is the skill feature that you're looking for. Donna Marie Ryder says, "I'd like to ask a question about account linking." Well, then do it. I'm sure it's coming up here in just a minute. Marcio wants to know, is it currently possible to use the camera using the Alexa SDK? No, we don't grant any access to the camera at all. So there's no way to see the video or even do things like object detection. I wish that someday in the future that may come, but today that is not that's not a possibility. We have account linking set up, but rather than users having to go to our URL portal, can we, after the user enables the skill and gets the account linking message, can we have the URL go to our customer portal? Well, it seems like this is something that you can control completely. You take them to the when they get that account linking. Oh, I see. On the account linking message, that's done on the Alexa server, not on yours. So no, I don't believe that there's a way to redirect them. Unfortunately, I like the idea, and certainly that makes a lot of sense. But no, let me, Donna Marie, let me take your comment. See if I can find your comment. LinkedIn doesn't like to update the. There we go. Some good questions today. Qatar, it depends. You're asking what is the best service on AWS for hosting a web app? It depends. Is it static? Is it dynamic? I mean, you mentioned you're using Python. For a very static HTML website, S3 is the place. It's super cheap, free, easy, and so easy to set up. If you want to run Python, though, I mean, any of the standard, whether you want to run that in a container or whether you want to run that right on the metal someplace, there's lots and lots of web hosting options on AWS, but I don't know that there's a necessarily best. Depends on your needs, I suppose. Mr. Survival Expert wants to know about Alexa for Business. It's still only available in the US. I have a company in Germany who wants to use a skill on their Alexa devices in the company, so I created an account for them and signed up. And the skill will stay in the development state. Is there a better solution for it? No, that is the best solution outside the United States, is just to publish the developer skill to accounts that a business can use. I don't know of a better way to do a private deployment. So that, unfortunately, is my recommendation. It's not something I love saying, but it's the recommendation. Let's see. How? Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
I am an Brijesh. I don't know how to say your name. I'm butchering it, I'm sure. I'm an inspiring developer who is interested in technologies like Amazon Alexa. How should I get started into voice recognition systems? I joined a little late. No, you didn't. But would like a place in the Slack, would be a good place to start. Does Amazon have a starter project? So yes, we do. A lot of them, in fact. Yes. There is, let me grab the link. We have some really, really excellent tutorials that are very, very good for this exact thing. And first of all, you didn't join late with voice recognition. Alexa is 6 years old, you guys. This is not late. You're on the ground floor. This is a great time to get in. So especially if you're learning how to start, working on the different code languages, and just to kind of, because it is its own language, it is definitely it's not its own language specifically. It's just its own kind of space to try to program. And I see people not being able to get into the same kind of zone as what I've been told by other programmers, coders, as they like to be called now. Okay. There. Okay. Can I put this in the Slack? I'm going to send this over to you.
So I put a link on the screen. I don't know if this is where you're sending them, Scott. but I send people to alexa.design/start. There's links to tutorials and GitHub and all sorts of stuff depending on your experience level. I'll take this link that you just shared with me. Drop that right here in the comments.
This is a fun one.
There's one more question.
No, it's cool. I'm glad to see new people. Like we always love to see new people.
Yeah.
When there's, especially since it's it's such a new product. There's not we've found some really cool stuff that works. We've found some stuff that doesn't really work. We found some neat, interesting possibilities, and but it requires so many brains, and we love to have new people show up and bring their new stuff to this world because we need new people. Something is going to click where suddenly someone somewhere is going to just figure something out on Alexa, and it's going to be like, it's going to blow the whole market away. So,
yep. I think it's really exciting to have new energy all the time. And honestly, I do that in Slack every day. There's somebody new that's like, hey, I have this cool idea I want to build. And people are like, oh, well, if you want to do that, just try this and this, and you're on your way. It's a really helpful community. So that's one of the other reasons that I really love Slack, is that people are there to support and like lift each other up. People publish links to their skills, and they get lots of new people trying it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I always feel a little guilty when that happens. Like I ask a question and like 15 people have solved my issue. I feel like I haven't done anything. Like I feel a little guilty. Like I just made everybody do all my work. That's not cool. Like, but yeah, it's fine. No, it's actually just very cool community actually.
It is. Imtrajeev says, can we use an Alexa device to record and store on the cloud like a security camera? No, unfortunately, you cannot do that. I can view the feed through the drop-in feature, but would appreciate if I can get it to record or at least motion alerts. So I think you can do motion alerts. I think that's something you can set up a routine for, where if a camera detects motion, you could have it do something, speak or send it, a notification or something like that. But you can't directly build anything that would record the screen. And I don't recall, but I don't think that there's a way for you to say, hey, record any motion you see like a security camera through a device. I don't think that that's a thing. It's a smart thing, right? I mean, Amazon already has another company called Ring that does this very, very well. It would be very interesting to allow all of the cameras on Echo devices to be able to feed into that same thing, right? Like you've already had a Ring account. I want to use my Echo devices like Ring devices. That would actually be pretty awesome. I'm going to copy your thing down. I'm going to reach out to my guy over at Ring that I know. We'll see if we can't figure something out. I make no promises here. This is one of those things that seems like someone has already thought about, and there's probably a reason that it doesn't happen, but it certainly wouldn't be available programmatically. But I could see you being able to set it up in your own personal account to say, hey, I want this to happen.
Could you create a skill that would trigger the security system that you're using? So like if you have 3 cameras and a security actual computer that you're using, and then you use Alexa to trigger that system to turn on, and then it starts recording, and then using its own cloud support system.
Yeah, if your security system, like let's say you have an actual security system with cameras and whatever, I think a lot of security systems actually already have a skill that talks to their APIs and does all that for you. So you could be like, arm the system, right? You could say something like that to your devices, and then it would be like, oh, okay, cool. And then it does all the other things and turns the cameras on and make sure that it's monitoring the doors and locks and whatever.
Right, but
I'm pretty sure the security company is already doing that. Yeah. So that seems like a reasonable option for sure. But if you don't have a security system and you just want to use the Echo devices you already have in your house, I don't have a good answer for you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. So Phenomenon47 says, how does Alexa work and how does it train its model? We don't have nearly enough time to cover that entire topic, but TradeLast actually provided a really nice link, which goes out to the Amazon Science website. I'll show that answer here. There's really good articles about the science behind how Alexa works on our Amazon Science website. And so what I would recommend is if you're very interested in this, you want to learn more about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and certainly a lot of the speech-to-text, text-to-speech models that we use, diving into phonemes and how that entire process works from waveforms up to speech. There's lots and lots of great articles over on the Amazon Science website. So TradeLast, thank you for sharing that.
That's a way more professional response. I was just going to say, like, there's a woman in a room and she has a phone, and
Could you imagine, like, if that's how it started? We just scaled up from there.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh. Its Radio Voice wants to know about the Skill Builder certification. It seems to be gone, and will it be returning in the future? Well, I know that they have deprecated it for the time being, so it is not something that is currently available, and there's not a predicted time that it will be available in the near future. But I would recommend, if you really, really want that certification, I would reach out to the folks on the AWS certification team, which I'm sure they have a contact us or support ticket kind of system. Reach out and let them know, because the reason that it's gone is because there just wasn't enough interest in the exam to justify continuing. Creating an exam and maintaining and monitoring an exam is very, very time and cost expensive. And so if it's not being used, or it's not, there isn't enough attention or interest in a test, they will take it down. But if they see a renewed interest, I think that they may consider bringing it back. Let's see. If I have a recipe list with lots of ingredients, could I use the entire ingredient list and buy it on Amazon? For invocation, oh no, it's just stop scrolling. For single products it works, but I can also go buy an entire ingredient list in one go. No, I don't believe so. I don't think that there's a way to say go buy an entire ingredient list.
I feel like that's an API to happen. Like, could you create something that feeds, like, there isn't one that I know of anyway. I mean, I'm not the biggest tech guy either. So, but like, could you create something that would feed each item in one by one, so that it would not have to try to feed an entire list all at once? Like, I don't know.
I think the problem we have is that you'd have to programmatically have. Well, we do have access to their to-do and shopping list.
Yeah, we have the chef built in.
You can do that pretty easily. But
that
you
could probably
then
be
you
done.
talk about different ways to buy on Amazon. It's not directly through the skill. Now they're making calls out through some third-party API. I don't know how any of that transaction works. It wouldn't be through your account. Like, it gets real messy pretty fast. But it's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Mr. Survival Expert, I don't think I have a solid solution for you on that one right today. How can I change, this is enabled, says, how can I change the way Alexa located the word minor instead of minor? And these are OR versus ER. Invocation names occasionally don't work when I'm creating a minor league skill, for example. Well, there isn't a way. You only get the one invocation name, and this is something that we've had a solid amount of feedback for quite a while. In fact, let me grab your comment here, just to make sure I continue to press that button inside Amazon. But the idea is we build synonyms and all sorts of other values for lots of other things, and what you're asking for primarily is synonyms for my invocation name. So one of the ways I've seen this solved, independent of working with Amazon or getting any changes made on their side, is to create two skills. One with ER, one with OR. They point to the same code, same everything, but that way you make sure they hit one or the other. It's not an ideal solution by any means, but it's an option, and it's certainly something I've seen people do. Realistically, I think we need to continue to talk with our product team about making that kind of thing possible, the idea of having synonyms for invocation names, but that's unfortunately not something that's possible today. Okay, seems like Oxygen Box says it's Happy Towel Day. I didn't realize it was Towel Day, but that's exciting news, I guess.
Don't forget your towel. Nobody got that joke? Oh my God.
Well, I didn't hear it. I have to turn my volume up when you're talking. Brajesh is asking if he can connect with us on LinkedIn. You can, but I don't know that that's the best place to stay posted on updates and information. The best place to do that would be to subscribe to Alexa directly. So if I go to Alexa, come on. Where can I sign up?
Also, Towel Day is awesome, and I didn't know it existed, and now I do, and so I need to go get a towel and just walk around with it today, just in case.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, Brajesh, I'm gonna jump on LinkedIn here. I'm gonna add a link for you on LinkedIn. This is the Alexa Skills Kit homepage, but at the very bottom there is a link to sign up for our newsletter, and that newsletter will give you all sorts of information. I think we have a weekly newsletter that comes out on Fridays, or maybe it's a monthly newsletter. I forget. I think the developer one's a monthly newsletter, but it provides you with all the news and information and latest releases and everything. Another thing to keep in mind, if you guys didn't notice, I haven't mentioned this yet as we're running out of time here, but we announced Alexa Live. Did you guys know about Alexa Live? Oh goodness, my keyboard is not cooperating. Yeah, everything's getting rebuilt. So I'm going to provide this link to you as well. There we go. I'm pushing the Alexa Live website out to you, but I will also show you the website. So we can go here-ish. Add stream. Okay, so this is Alexa Live. It is July 21st, 2021. This is our big event every year. You can sign up for updates. We talk about all the stuff that's going on. You can get a save the date. You can see that we also have links to our Slack, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So Brajesh, I would recommend signing up for all of those, but sign up for the official Alexa ones. I mean, you're welcome to connect with me, but I think if you're really looking for news and updates, this is the place that you want to be. And yeah, it's coming up July 21st, which is, by the way, a day before my birthday. Last year it was on my birthday, and I think they felt bad because, you know, that's just how they go. So they moved it a day earlier this year. So it's July 21st, and it should be awesome. Well, I know it's going to be awesome. I'm working on a ton of the content. And for those of you that have followed me directly, I used to do tons of live streaming and stuff in the mornings and whatever, and it has eaten all of my time. So the reason that I have not been doing a ton of live streaming in the mornings is because of this Alexa Live. There's just too much to do, too much to plan, and I don't really have enough time. So we will get back to it. I promise that will come back. And you want to sign up early because there is swag. And yes, I believe, Gold Zulu, I believe international swag happens. I don't think it's US only. We can go back to not screen sharing, back to both of us. There we go. And then add another comment to my list. Oxygen Box says he didn't get the swag last year. Well, hopefully we can fix that. I feel like they're doing international shipping. Pretty sure they are.
Oh my God, the swag was such a nightmare.
Did you have a bunch of reaching out about it?
Oh my goodness, we had so many people talking, like writing in letters, and we were, oh my God, it was, whew.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh no, it was fine. It was just a lot, and we just did a lot of we pushed out a lot. We had a lot of ones go back out, and then oh man, it was hard. People are very upset if you don't get them their t-shirt. It is very upsetting to not get the coffee mug warmer. It is extremely upsetting. And I get it. I completely get it. I love it. Of course, now I don't have any of my Alexa stuff at my desk while I'm online.
Something like this.
Okay.
I also have somewhere. I have they had glasses. They had.
Oh, I have the glasses. Yeah, I have the glasses. And I got the bag, and I got the little dude. The little. He looks like one of these, only cape on. Very nice. Oh, that's a sweet hat. That's like a golfing hat.
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
It came from last year, so yeah, I like that. I've got a whole wall of hats over here, so see if we. No, in fact, I knocked another one off. Awesome. All right, we are almost out of time here.
Hey, did you hear about that guy that got fired after asking for 1 day off? Yeah, he took 1 day off and he got fired. Yeah, he worked at the calendar factory. So,
Good stuff. Good stuff.
dad jokes.
I appreciate a good joke. I'm not sure how everybody else feels about that, but I liked it.
You have to be above a certain age to
Scott, do you have
enjoy
children?
these certain types of jokes.
Do you have children?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what instills the ability to appreciate those jokes.
I think once it's like there's a instinctual flip. Yeah, everybody who has had a kid knows about this. Like there's an instinctual flip, and this is part of it. This is the dad jokes go along with the instinctual, protection of the family thing. Yeah,
I think it's something that has been bred into humans over hundreds of years. I have to imagine.
Yeah,
but it is weird. Like I'm far punnier now that I have children than I was, in my 20s. So it just comes naturally.
I feel like this needs to be researched by Johns Hopkins University.
Craig Walls just landed a good one. He said, "I would tell you a joke about time travel, but you didn't get it." I love that.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of self-deprecating humor. I'm just not very good at it.
So many things we could say. All right. Hey, we're going to wrap things up here for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been a bombardment of questions. This is always amazing to me, the number of you that show up and have a great conversation, and I learn lots. I take a lot of good feedback back to our product team. So it's really, really good. And please continue to show up. We really appreciate having all of you here. But if you are not over on the Slack also, I'm going to put it up on the screen one more time. Please jump over to alexa.design/Slack. And I recommend going there. I saw somebody posted a link directly to the Slack earlier. Slack requires an invitation. And so this alexa.design/Slack page gets you around that invitation and gets you right in. If you share the link to the Slack directly, people will only be stopped and have to request an invitation. And then I have to go check my email and make sure that they get the invite. Like, don't do that. Just have them go to this link, alexa.design/Slack, and they get right in. No waiting. All right. So with that, I think we're going to do it. Thank you so much, Scott, for being here today.
No problem.
Always a pleasure to have you join me here.
Always love doing these shows. It's a lot of fun.
We'll see you soon. Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
I always love doing these shows. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.